Grafting and budding take place in an orchard when the farmer wants to change the variety of fruit borne by the tree. To topwork pome fruit, in other words to change the variety of apples or pear, grafting will be used 99% of the time. To topwork stone fruit, 50% of the time grafting will be used, and the other 50% the budding technique will be used. Let's have a look at grafting first. In apple and pear orchards, grafting is the most common practice when topworking. To prepare a tree for grafting, the central leader is typically sawed down to a height of about 2 meters, and the side branches are cut back to 20 centimeter stumps. Grafting involves taking a 15 to 20 centimeter long, pencil-thick, 1-year-old shoot called the budwood and inserting it into the cut surfaces of the tree, ensuring that the bark of the budwood aligns with the bark of the tree. Grafting takes place ideally in July or August, as soon as there is a bit of sap movement in the tree after the dormant winter period. Grafting and budding onto a healthy mother tree is critical. As you can see, the tree is cut back very hard, so the process is very stressful to the tree. If it has bacterial disease or is infected with woolly apple aphid, the results could be disastrous. Be sure that the budwood is of the variety that you want and that it is free of disease or viruses. It should be green and not dried out. Often grafters place the budwood in hessian bags and store them underground to retain moisture. There are a number of grafts that can be done. The most common is the wedge graft. A wedge-shaped cut is made on a side branch of the mother tree and the budwood is pushed into the gap and wedged into place. It's very important to use a knife that is very sharp. This will ensure a clean cut which will help to line up the bark of the budwood with the bark of the tree. It's very important that the bark on each piece marries well. Failure to align the bark of the budwood with the bark of the tree being grafted will prevent the successful formation of a graft union. The graft wound is sealed using a bitumen graft sealant to keep moisture and air out of the joint. 2 weeks after grafting, the grafting team will come through the orchard again and seal the grafts for a second time. In October or November, a team will rub off the growth from the mother tree and only grow the shoots of the new variety. Very few growers will do the grafting themselves, but will bring in a dedicated team to do the job. It may cost more in the short term, but over time the results will justify the expense. When budding, one takes a single bud and adds it to the mother tree. One can either use the T-bud or the chip bud techniques. When inserting a T-bud, make a vertical cut through the bark of the mother tree and then make a horizontal cut at the top to get the T-shape. Peel the bark away and slide the bud into the T-shaped cut. Wind a plastic strip around the trunk to hold the bud in position and to seal the joint. Do not cover the bud with plastic. When chip budding, take a chip out of the bark and place the budwood over the cut. Make sure that the bark of the tree marries well with the bark of the bud and bind the joint with a strip of plastic. Once again, do not cover the bud. Disinfect the equipment every 5 to 10 minutes to prevent infection from being passed to the tree. There are a number of important factors to be aware of when grafting or budding. Firstly, hygiene is critical. Equipment should be disinfected often. Secondly, the knife used must be kept sharp. You cannot do a good job with a blunt knife. Then the cambium of the tree, in other words the cell layer between the bark and the wood, must marry perfectly with the cambium of the bud or graft shoot. And finally, the joint should be well sealed so that it remains free of water and air.